On behalf of the Washburn University Board of Regents, the faculty, administration, and staff, I welcome you to this commencement in Washburn University's 152nd year. Please remain standing and join the Washburn Singers under the direction of Dr. Kevin Kellum in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. I want to thank Dr. Kellum, who conducted the choir. The music department is such an important part of Washburn, and we are so pleased members of the Washburn Singers are here with us today. Please let's give them another round of applause. Our university singers will perform again in our ceremony this evening. Also, please join me in expressing thanks to Mrs. Norma Pettijohn, organist, and the Washburn Faculty Brass Quintet for providing music this evening. I would like to direct your attention to the international flags surrounding the platform. In recognizing Washburn University's impact locally, nationally, and globally, the flags that have been posted represent the countries of the world which have had students attend Washburn. These countries are represented by flags above the commencement platform. Flags along the sides of the podium represent countries which currently have students attending Washburn. At this time, I would like to introduce the platform party. Please remain standing until all are introduced. Dr. Russell Jacobs, Professor Emeritus of Philosophy and the Grand Marshal of our ceremony. Dr. Eric Grospich, Vice President for Student Life. Dr. Richard Litke, Executive Director of Enrollment Management. Dr. Alan Behrman, Dean of the Mabee Library and the Center for Student Success. Mr. Clark Coco, Dean, Washburn Institute of Technology. Mr. Jim Martin, Vice President for Administration and Treasurer. Dr. John Mulliken, Associate Professor and Chair of the Biology Department. Dr. Vicki Kelly, Associate Professor of the Allied Health Department. Ms. Cynthia Holthouse, Special Assistant to the President. Dr. Pam Foster, Equal Opportunity Director. Mr. Mark Freed, University Counsel and Secretary to the Board of Regents. Mr. Marshall Meek, President of Washburn University Alumni Association and Foundation. Mr. Mike Mustaine, President of the Washburn University Alumni Association. Dr. Laura Stevenson, Dean, the College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Gary Baines, Associate Dean, School of Applied Studies. Dr. David Sollers, Dean of the School of Business. Dr. Monica Scheibmeyer, Dean of the School of Nursing. Dean Thomas Robig, Dean of the School of Law. Mr. Paul Hoferer, Board of Regents. Mr. Terry Beck, Board of Regents. Mr. Brent Bowles, Board of Regents. Mr. Bill Sneed, Board of Regents. Mrs. Blanche Parks, Board of Regents. And Dr. Jerry Farley, President of Washburn University. Please be seated. And now it is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce the president of Washburn University, Dr. Jerry Farley.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight. What a grand evening this is for a celebration of the successes of our students. Faculty members are exceptionally proud of you, just as your family, your friends, your colleagues that are here tonight to celebrate with you. You've worked hard. You have spent an awful lot of time in the library or studying over a computer. You have just finished your finals and you have your papers turned in. You do have your papers turned in, don't you? Okay. And you are now ready to take the next step in your education process. Some of you may have thought this was going to be the end of education for you. You will learn very quickly, if you've not already learned, that really it is nothing but the end of the beginning, or beginning of the end. You have a lot more to learn, but we have prepared you, we hope. We have prepared you to learn for a lifetime. And I'd like to take just a few moments tonight to share a few thoughts with you. Some things that I've observed over a number of years and that I've had some help learning from a number of different people. And tonight I pay due respect to my colleagues in the philosophy department because I tread on an area of which I am not a scholar. And that is, I'd like to talk with you a bit tonight about the concept of truth. 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 It seems like such a simple idea. It seems like we can all certainly understand the truth, know what the truth is, do we not? How complicated can the idea of the truth really be? There is true and there is false. It's simple as that. It's black and white, right? Seems simple. Now, perhaps you have just been through a week of final exams where you answered a number of questions in a true-false manner. That's easy, true or false. It was an easy test, wasn't it? Sometimes the difference between truth and false is subtle, almost indistinguishable. Truth, while so clear in each of our mind's eye, is often so difficult upon which we can agree. I hope that your education has helped you see not only the black and white, but hopefully many, many shades of gray. Who decides the truth? Whose point of view do we follow? Who decides what is good and what is bad? Should you change your view to see the truth the same as I see the truth? There are those in this world who want to tell you what and how to think. It's happening right now, all around the globe, this very moment. I'm certain that if I knew some persons who follow the Taliban in Afghanistan, that we would have very different opinions about the world. Who is to decide which of us has the truth? This past year, here in this country, we have often been confronted with truth in more complicated and emotional ways than in past years. Does shrill rhetoric equal truth? Is power synonymous with truth? Does control of wealth equal truth? I do feel that ignorance hobbles truth. Ignorance is seeing the world through a pinhole perspective. Information helps us overcome ignorance. But first, there must be a transformation of information into knowledge. Knowledge encompasses a much, much broader view, a panorama of ideas and opinions, perceptions and facts. Knowledge really becomes power. Sometimes those in power want to keep information and thus keep knowledge for themselves so they can control their perception of truth. How can we challenge powerful statements of truth without knowledge? How will you use the skills you have learned here at Washburn, to think critically, to synthesize, assess information, to help you create that knowledge from information. At Washburn, one of our primary goals is to help you open your minds. Your college education at Washburn included course in a broad depth of subjects across all directly related, not all directly related to your major or your chosen profession. While completing all of those general education courses required many seemingly tedious hours of work. It is this breadth, though, of knowledge of your education that is provided to you will provide you with a foundation to evaluate what is true. The major which you have selected has taught you much. You've learned a lot about a specific discipline, but you are grounded on learning a bit about a lot of disciplines when you take general education courses. These courses help you analyze, discern, and most importantly, think with a breadth of knowledge. You should be able to find truth rather than be told what truth is. This is an enormous, enormous difference between the two, perhaps. For Washburn to offer the best education, you, the student, must have the freedom to learn, and your faculty must have the freedom to teach. Those who believe they should control what you think, what you say or do, include every ideology, every culture, and every religion. You have to sort through those. The university remains free to teach you about every one of them, whether they are popular at the moment in our culture and society or not. We tenaciously defend the right to teach and your right to learn. There's a term that is bandied about, sometimes not as seriously as it should be, something called academic freedom. It's a fundamental component to American system of higher education. And because of that, we are the envy of the world. This freedom to think and to know are fundamental pillars of our society. Freedom is about all of us being able to think and say and learn and teach and speak and then come together to agree or disagree if we choose. This is called civil discourse. Do you believe everything that you have ever heard? I hope not. If not, we have educated you not as much as we should have. You should have developed a skepticism, but don't let that skepticism be born of cynicism. You see, it is your job now to determine what is true, to think and to oppose those who want you not to think. You have become an educated citizen because of the generosity of our society. Even though you have paid tuition, or perhaps your family has aided you in paying tuition, tuition is only a small part of the cost of your education. Education has been the underlying foundation of the success of our society and the success of our country. This foundation of free public education was established over 170 years ago when we decided that free public education for all was one of the goals that we would pursue. Our country is one of the most prosperous countries in the world today. I believe that this is because we realize that an investment in knowledge and a never-ending search for truth are important. We should not, and actually we cannot, compete with emerging countries for jobs that require no or limited education. Emerging countries whose citizens can dramatically improve their life and that of their family, increasing their income from a couple of dollars a day to perhaps $4 a day. This will continue to force out migration of jobs to those countries that do not require levels as we do in education. My opinion, the way we will survive as a country is by using education as a vehicle to instill knowledge, become increasingly adaptable, and to create new jobs, some of which don't even exist now. I reiterate, the great strength of our country is our educated workforce. This has created a vast middle class for the last 60 or 70 years we have shared values and a stable social and political structure. We cannot endure a widening gap in access to education between children of those of greater means than those of lesser means. Education provides intergenerational mobility, and this is the vehicle to provide opportunity. Higher education has been considered a public good for the past 70 years, a public good. Increasingly, however, it is becoming viewed as a private benefit. It benefits you as an individual. Therefore, the public should not have to pay as much. In the long run, this cannot be good for our country. We cannot compete with offshore labor costs for those products that do not require an educated workforce. If we are not thoughtful, we will shift our middle class to the rest of the world. If we continue shifting funding from society to the individual, we risk losing a substantial number of our educated workforce individuals. We risk losing the middle class. Learning is humankind's most profound impulse. For the past 20 years, education has been a major public policy issue in every state across the country. Now, this is not because other public policy issues have been solved, but rather because education is fundamental to the development of our society and a civilized world. You will be our newest leaders, but you'll face changes and you'll face challenges. I hope that you feel up to that based on your education. Washburn has a reputation of graduating smart, independent, thoughtful, concerned, educated citizens. You are prepared to lead because you can lead. You are also prepared to follow intelligently, not out of blind obedience or mindless obligation, but because you can think and choose your own path. Now I've arrived at the point most graduation remarks do eventually, when we deteriorate into pithy commencement comments. Prepare yourself. We should focus on what we have in common and what we can agree upon and improve everyone's life. Divisive ideological differences are particularly troubling to me. That's not to say, and we encourage you, it's not to say that you should not have the strength of your convictions. But keep focused. We live in a society where people have different views. We live in a world with very differing views. We want you to be passionate about things. Find something about which you believe strongly and passionately about. But build your thinking and build your knowledge based on critical thinking. Discuss things and debate things civilly. Listen to others and engage in civil discourse. Glance around the room for a moment. See all those who have placed their confidence in you, those who have invested in your success, those who will depend on you as you join their community and your profession. In a business term, here's the bottom line. Along with seeking success, seek honesty, maintain an open mind, participate in all that makes you free to think, and continue to search for truth. Congratulations on your graduation from Washburn University. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farley. At this time, we are honored to recognize a very special group of students. Veterans, will you please stand? These students serve their country with honor, and we are pleased to recognize them as part of the Washburn University family. We thank you for your service. Please be seated. The road to graduation from Washburn University should offer students more than the completion of an array of courses that is then rewarded with a diploma. Graduates should be given the opportunity to be transformed by their Washburn experience. The goal of a higher education institution is not to turn out graduates, but to graduate students who turn out to be highly principled citizens who make a difference in our communities. Students pursuing an undergraduate degree have the opportunity to participate in up to 4 different transformational experiences before graduation. These Washburn transformational experiences are described on page 8 of your program. Today, we would like to recognize those students who have completed one or more of the WTE experiences by asking them to stand. Thank you so much. You may be seated. This is a very special part of Washburn's educational experience that we believe is different than most other institutions. And our students graduate with that transformation that we really hope happens. We are also very pleased to have students representing the following countries and graduating with degrees from Washburn University tonight. Would our international students please stand and remain standing as your country is mentioned? China, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, France, Indonesia, Japan, Nepal, Paraguay, Saudi Arabia, and Spain. You may be seated. Dr. Farley will now introduce the Sibberson Award finalists and the Sibberson Award recipient for the fall 2017 graduating class.
Thanks to a very generous gift to Washburn University by Erna and Gretchen Sibberson, an award has been established to honor the most deserving students selected from among the highest ranking student members of the senior class in the undergraduate program at each commencement. Based on their academic performance, 4 students have been selected as fall 2017 Sibberson Award finalists. I will ask each finalist to stand as your name is read, and please remain standing until each of you have been introduced. Perry Krogman. Perry is graduating with a Bachelor of Health Science degree in Health Services Administration. Ashlyn Lane. Ashlyn is graduating with a bachelor's degree in Business Administration with an emphasis in accounting. Mackenzie Mapes. Mackenzie graduated with a Bachelor of Applied Science in Human Services, Integrative Practice, and a certificate in Morita Therapy. Peter Q. Peter is graduating with a bachelor's degree in political science and a minor in communications. To these students and their families, their friends, their colleagues, we extend our congratulations on your outstanding, truly outstanding academic achievements. Please be seated. The Sibberson Award Committee met recently to select a recipient for this fall commencement. Peter Q., would you please come forward to be recognized as this Sibberson Award winner? As Peter is coming forward, let me tell you just a bit about him. After completing his bachelor's degree in political science, Peter's next chapter includes continuing his education in law school, focusing on trial advocacy and corporate law. Right up here, Peter. Peter is described by his professors as determined, hardworking, dependable, engaged, tenacious, and maybe something that cannot be taught. Peter has the gift of a curious mind. Peter, for your outstanding academic achievements, Washburn University is proud and honored to present you the Fall Sibberson Award. And more photos. Congratulations to Peter and the other finalists.
To honor these Sibberson finalists, as well as all of our graduates, we have a special presentation of a new choral piece that was created specifically for our 150th anniversary celebration. It's titled Ichabod's in All We Do. The lyrics to this piece were written by an alumna, Phyllis Hoffman, and can be found on the front inside cover of your program.
Washburn, we heard to order your bright halls, books beneath ours, past peaceful waterfalls. The sunlight gleams, so many dawning dreams echo from the tower, chiming every hour. Washburn, Washburn, we vow to care, to strive for justice everywhere, to show our colors bright and true. Ichabod's in all we do. Although we leave your warm embrace, the waiting world is a wondrous place. Washburn, Washburn, we vow to care, to strive for justice everywhere, to show our colors bright and true. Ichabod's in all we do.
Thank you, Dr. Kellum and the Washburn Singers. We will now proceed to the conferring of degrees, the most exciting part of our ceremony. We ask that parents, relatives, and friends use one of the areas in front to the right of the stage designated for taking photographs so as not to obstruct the graduates or the professional photographers. You may then return to your seats for the remainder of our ceremony. Will all candidates for a doctoral or master's degree please rise? President Farley, those before you and in absentia are candidates for a doctoral or master's degree. I am pleased to present to you now for the conferring of their degrees those who have completed requirements and have been recommended by the faculty.
Thank you, Dr. Mazurczak. By virtue of the authority granted to me by the Board of Regents of Washburn University, I hereby confer upon those who have completed the requirements the appropriate degree with all the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please be seated until the Associate Marshals bring you forward. I guess I'll bring them all forward at once.
The doctoral degree represents more than 90 academic credit hours of advanced study beyond a bachelor's degree. The master's degree represents more than 30 academic credit hours of advanced study beyond a bachelor's degree. We are proud to welcome 20 doctoral graduates and 42 master's graduates as new alumni of Washburn University. Candidates for these degrees will be presented by their academic dean.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Juris Doctor degree.
Rebecca Silvermans Craig. Justin Lynn Crawford. Devin Campbell Klaskow, Dean's Honors. Nicole Grace Harris. Reginald Paul Hernandez. Courtney Elaine Manley, Dean's Honors. Alex Lee Moorhead. Kristen Nicole Moorhead. James D. Nicholas, Dean's Honors. Michael Aaron Payton. Zachary J. Riedel. Matthew Lee Shoger, Dean's Honors. Casey Lynn Skidmore. Spencer Stephen Smith. Danielle Lynette Whitmore. Mason Dean Woodland.
We're good. Dr. Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Doctor of Nursing Practice and the Master of Science in Nursing degree.
Thank you, Dean.
Doctor of Nursing Practice, Heather Aranda. Jennifer Ebert. Master of Science in Nursing, Stephanie Arbaiza. Jenny Kathleen Quinn.
Dr. Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Master of Arts, Master of Education, and Master of Liberal Studies.
Thank you, Dean.
Master of Education, Samar Sanad Amalgamasi. Jamila Syed Abdullah Al-Shayi, Stauffer Scholar. Lamiz Rafat Mod Allah, Stauffer Scholar. Jillian E. Sykes, Stauffer Scholar. Okay. Joel Swanson, Stauffer Scholar. Go ahead and start. Mhm. Master of Liberal Studies, Aisa Kabwa Charlotte Tacha Malisa. Switch. Master of Arts in Human Services.
Are we ready?
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Masters of Arts in Human Services, Masters of Criminal Justice, Master of Health Science, and Master of Social Work degrees.
Thank you, Dean.
Master of Arts in Human Services, Kathy Felicia Bear. Victor Torres Dawson. Master of Criminal Justice, Kathleen Nicole Joyce. Sarah Frances Riley. Jessica J. Steele. Jerry Vieira. Master of Health Science, Laura Bryce. Kelly George. Stacy Yvonne Corte. Amy McLaren. Susan Marie Quirk. Alicia Michelle Skinner. Master of Social Work, Jamie Ann Denoya Dempey-Wolf. Ready? Sarah Elizabeth Wood.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Master's of Business Administration degree.
Thank you, Dean.
Hatan Nami Al-Sharif. Krishna Prasad Bashya. Reagan Gamar. Karim Amin Huda. Eric Scott Purcell. Alexandra Elaine Makolka. Philip M. Wolken. BBA.
Let's give our doctoral and master's students another round of applause. Will all candidates for an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree please rise? President Farley, those before you and in absentia are candidates for the associate's or bachelor's degree. I am pleased to present to you now for the conferring of their degrees those who have completed the requirements and have been recommended by the faculty.
By authority of the Board of Regents of Washburn University, I hereby confer upon those who have completed the degrees and the requirements the appropriate degree with all the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Come forward as the Marshal's Director.
We are proud to welcome 303 bachelor degree graduates and 99 associate degree graduates as new alumni of Washburn University. Candidates for these degrees will be presented by their academic dean.
I could announce him about the month. I've never needed one. Truth. Oh, thank you. Yeah. How come? I believe we're a little out of. Yep.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the degree of the Associates of Liberal Studies.
Thank you, Dean.
Associate of Liberal Studies, Tambor S. Beaker. Bachelor of Arts, Holly Allen, Communication Honors, cum laude. Laylee Elizabeth Bimes, magna cum laude. Jerian Bowen. Alexis Bowens. Stephanie M. Brown. Evan Lee Burdick, magna cum laude. Ty Bushbaum. Ashley L. Can. Anna Catherine Carson, Psychology Honors. Bryson Stephen Chavis. Shaniqua S. Culpepper. Kimberly Brianne Day, Psychology Honors, magna cum laude. Michael Glenn Deaver. Casey Elise Dillon. Tina Caroline Dos Santos Jensen. Jalen K. Durham. Ariel Amanda Dutton. Benjamin Joseph Ferris. Shelby L. Ferguson, magna cum laude. Tyler Scott Garst. Anastasia Marie Glover, English Honors, summa cum laude, University Honors. Cassandra Christine Graham. Ryan Scott Greenwood. Jeb Cameron Grebot, magna cum laude. Macy Dawn Hagelgans, cum laude. Austin Lee Harris, History Honors, magna cum laude. Tarek Darshan Hawkins. Christopher Lynn Hayes. Danae S. Hayes, summa cum laude. Bailey Michelle Keeney, cum laude. Rady Elizabeth Keller. Jason A. Kelsey. Natalia Alexandra Lowry, magna cum laude. Sydney Marie Lutchen, Biology Honors, cum laude. Brianna Gail Madden. Rehan Makarim. Stephanie Sue Manel. Natasha Jean Martinez, Political Science Honors, summa cum laude. Ryan Stephen McGowan. Bethany A. McKnight, Psychology Honors, summa cum laude. James Willard Morrissey Ramsdell. Alicia Marie Newberry, cum laude. Justin Thomas Pawar. Peter Fanensteel. Shanice D. Phelps. Peter Q., Political Science Honors, Sibberson Award winner, summa cum laude. Isran Rahman. Brennan B. Rowland. Sophia Marie Sabala, magna cum laude. Takuma Saito. Nicholas Danielle Silva. Emily Zhao Smythe, Psychology Honors, summa cum laude, University Honors. Olivia Grace Stovall. Deanna Kathleen Ann Tenges, English Honors, History Honors, summa cum laude, University Honors. Mackenzie Elaine Tyler. Pasang Tamang. Adam Jacob Valencia. Jack Charles Vandeloo, English Honors, History Honors, magna cum laude, University Honors. Catherine Lynn Wade, History Honors, magna cum laude. Abigail Jane Welch. Nicolette P. Womack, cum laude. Thank you. E. Hong Wu. Ariana Zamora Quintana. Bachelor of Education, Christina Rose Bears. Cadence Francis Bourne, Education Honors, magna cum laude. Caitlin Alexandra Combs, Education Honors, cum laude. Brady Alexandria Hishma, Education Honors, cum laude. Suzanne L. Martell. Paige Amanda Miller, Education Honors, magna cum laude. Charlotte Nicole Munoz, cum laude. Hannah Marie Port, Education Honors, summa cum laude. Terry Shantae Marie Shump, cum laude. Nicholas Paul Marvin Sloan. Donna J. Street. Madeline Ann Walker, cum laude. Crystal Ann Wall, cum laude. Bailey Marie Wells, Education Honors, summa cum laude. Marilyn Yvonne Williams. Mary Zona Ann Winter, cum laude. Bachelor of Fine Arts, Margaret P. Clem, Art Honors, summa cum laude. Miranda Faye Figgs, Art Honors, magna cum laude. Mario Alberta Garcia Jr. Carl Gabriel William Smith. Yu Yi Sun, Art Honors, summa cum laude. Danielle Sloan Wilbur, Art Honors, cum laude. Edson Jean-Baptiste. Bachelor of Integrated Studies, Daniel Joseph Hadijak. Bachelor of Music, Mackenzie Ray Boutron. Is that right? Cum laude. Bachelor of Public Administration, Rebecca C. Cole. Bachelor of Science, Taylor A. Balsmeyer, Mathematics and Statistics Honors, summa cum laude. Shane Patrick Brocksterman, Biology Honors, magna cum laude. Kaylee M. Calhoun. Gentry Kelly Cork, Biology Honors, magna cum laude. Luke Sorum Craighead, Biology Honors, magna cum laude. David Matthew Dennis, Biology Honors, magna cum laude. Amber Michelle Owings. Mariah L. Sanders. Lacey Adele Schlegel. Congratulations. Nicholas Jacob Wagner, Biology Honors.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Bachelor of Business Administration degree.
Thank you, Dean.
Bachelor of Business Administration, Mohammed Al-Haddad. Ivan Andrea Amaria Maggioni, School of Business Scholar, summa cum laude. Connor Lane Beck. Kyle James Blocker. James Allen Bushell. Catherine Elizabeth Carswell, School of Business Scholar, summa cum laude. Brittany Cheyenne Childers. Casey Clark, School of Business Scholar, magna cum laude. Noah Paul Cross. Okay. Cindy Demosthenes. Kenneth Brandon Dice, School of Business Scholar, magna cum laude. Kara Opal Dewar. Catherine Claire Elkins. Sarah Elizabeth Finks, School of Business Scholar, summa cum laude. Paige Elizabeth Hallisey, cum laude. Zachary N. Halter, cum laude. Ashlyn D. Lane, Sibberson finalist, School of Business Scholar, summa cum laude. Macy Brenda Lang. Brian Douglas Mercer. Rachel Ann Nancy Helser, cum laude. Alec Stephen Pomeroy. Harley Louise Reeser. Carson Coy Roberts. James Charles Sparks. Maria Taylor Stanley, magna cum laude. Grant Robert Waters, School of Business Scholar, summa cum laude, University Honors. Tony Yi Yang, School of Business Scholar, magna cum laude. Megan Gail Zaldivar. Wen Chan Zhu, cum laude. Okay, you want to switch? We got to step back anyway. You want to do nursing? Okay. Okay, solemn.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree.
Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Salam Akaldi. Muhammad Akarni. Claire Elise Balthazar, magna cum laude, School of Nursing Honors. Devin Lee Barron. Annalicia C. Byer, cum laude, School of Nursing Honors. Morgan Benjamin, cum laude, School of Nursing Scholar. Brianna Buttrick Calhoun, magna cum laude. Meg Marie Calvert, magna cum laude. Katie Jo Collins, cum laude. Vanessa Antoinette Ellis. Shaylee Lynn Fetters, cum laude. Jana Flock. Kaylee Flurlock, cum laude. Bailey Ginter, magna cum laude, School of Nursing Scholar. Dennis D. Gray, magna cum laude. Gordon Guion. Audia Guzman. Sarah Elizabeth Hayes, School of Nursing Honors. Tanya Lynn Hicks. Sean Keller. Casey Coling, cum laude. Kayla Danielle Kramer. Haley Lose. Whitney Magnet. Madison Paige Motsky, cum laude. Colton James McKnight. Sierra Cherokee Miller. Kendall Diana Newman, cum laude. Morgan Lee Olertz, cum laude, School of Nursing Scholar. Zachary Olivares. Rachel Ann Ramsey. Shelby Nicole Reese. Jenna Lee Shookman, magna cum laude, School of Nursing Scholar. Marissa Seago. Meredith Shields, School of Nursing Scholar. Laura Janelle Schuffelbarger, magna cum laude. Claire Swanson, cum laude. Callie Turley, cum laude. Mariah Jane Valdivia. Riley Karen White, cum laude.
Ready for a break? Just keep them for the photographer. Keep them in order. Yeah.
President Farley, I present to you the candidates for the Associates of Arts, Associates of Science, Associates of Applied Science, Bachelor of Applied Science, Bachelor of Health Science, Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, Bachelor of Legal Studies, and Bachelor of Social Work degrees.
Thank you, Dean.
Bachelor of Social Work, Eugene Edward Hebrew Jones. Casey Dolores Paez. Ty Janae Smith. Okay. I had you. Associate of Arts, Sarah Margaret Kasbrak. Associate of Science, Pablo Cervantes. Christopher Chase Clareman, School of Applied Studies Honors. Jeffrey Kyle Dillard Jr., School of Applied Studies Honors. Ryan Matthew Juarez. Bachelor of Applied Science, Amy Jo Kuhn. Shiloh Mernissa Marie Fainer, Human Services Honors, cum laude. Megan Rachel Love, Human Services Honors, summa cum laude. Christy Sue Mossberg, Allied Health Honors. Bachelor of Health Science, Stephanie Lynn Cannon. Brianna Elizabeth Hard, cum laude. Perry Janelle Krogman, Allied Health Honors, Sibberson Award finalist, summa cum laude. Abby Lee Smith. Oh, you told me. Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, Omar Al-Rabayan. Tyler Amundsen Barth. Shelby Lynn Dehart, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, magna cum laude. Zachary Daniel Garlock. Evan Dominic Hermish. Kristen Lee King, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, magna cum laude. Tyler Marshall Knapp, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, magna cum laude. Tracy Elizabeth Lasco, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, magna cum laude. Justin Christopher Long. Angel Peggy Marie McLeese, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, cum laude. Joseph Lawrence McSorley. Amanda Ellen Moore. Alexander Simone Marino. Molly Louise Smith. Amber Ray Troth. Garrett Michael Wishman, Criminal Justice Legal Studies Honors, cum laude. That's it. You go right ahead.
Now we're all gonna get in here.
Let's join together and give our associate and baccalaureate students another round of applause. Before concluding the ceremony, graduates, I would like to underscore that this is a moment of transition. You entered the arena as the final step in completing your time, this time, as a Washburn University student, and as you leave today, you begin your exciting future by joining thousands of proud Washburn University alumni. In that regard, it is now my pleasure to introduce Mike Mustaine, President of the Washburn University Alumni Association Board of Directors.
Thank you, Dr. Mazachek. President Farley. On behalf of more than 44,000 living Washburn alumni, I congratulate you on your graduation from Washburn University. You're joining the ranks of alumni from across the nation and around the world who all have the same thing in common. We're all Ichabods. Like them, you've developed a permanent and lasting relationship with Washburn. As such, your continued involvement will help shape Washburn for the generations of Ichabods who will follow in your footsteps. Throughout the rest of your life, the Alumni Association will keep you connected to Washburn and your classmates. Today, our graduation gift to you is a complimentary one-year membership in the Alumni Association. Being a member of the Alumni Association is all the fun of college without the homework and tests. Yep, you heard that right. It's fun, no homework, no tests, and it's free. Don't be afraid to get involved and be a part of the fun. Your fellow Ichabod alumni will welcome you with open arms. Keep in mind, university's reputation is built on the success of its graduates. We all know you will go on to do great things, whether it be starting a new career or continuing your education. On this day of graduation, we wish you happiness, good health, prosperity. Congratulations.
Okay, please join me once again in recognizing these impressive individuals for their accomplishments by offering another round of applause. Okay, this is the fun part of the ceremony. Will all graduates please rise and remain standing? I need you to make sure that your tassel is on the right side of your cap. As a symbol of your great achievement, please move the tassel to the left side of your mortarboard to indicate your new status as alumni. We conclude the fall 2017 commencement with the singing of the Alma Mater by the Washburn Singers. The words are located on the inside cover of your program. Would everyone please rise and remain standing for the recessional of our graduates, family, and friends. We at Washburn wish you the very best in your future.
Washburn,